Okay. So in the previous session, we had a discussion on these things. Um, Especially that MOSFET is to be seen as a 4-terminal device, which contains drain D, source S, gate G, and the body terminal B, also known as substrate. And we also pointed that drain and source have equal doping concentrations. Control terminal because it has the ability to switch the device on or off. So whether PMOS or NMOS, it can be switched on or off simply by applying the correct logic or the potential at the gate terminal with respect to the source. And we pointed that for digital applications, MOSFET is used as a switch. And you know that switch basically has two statuses, that is on and off. When any switch is on, so it conducts current and offers ideally zero on state voltage drop. And when that switch is off, it carries zero current ideally, and it blocks all the input voltage across itself. Then we went on to discuss about the symbols and operating conditions for MOSFETs. And as far as these two symbols which are in front of us are concerned, we know that there is only one difference between the symbols for NMOS and PMOS, that is the direction of the arrow. So usually the arrow direction confuses a student. So we went on for another set of symbols which clearly discriminates between the two devices. We also pointed out that all the PMOS and NMOS devices which will be taken into discussion till the unit finishes, they'll be all of enhancement type, that is EMOS. And I told you that irrespective of the type of MOSFET, the body and source terminals are always short circuited. So in NMOS, BNS are short circuited, and in PMOS also BNS are short circuited. So irrespective of the type of the device, the potential difference between B and S should be zero. So we also mentioned that if body and source terminals are short circuited, then the body effect actually vanishes. Okay, so that is why we said that it is said that there is no body effect, and if VBS is not equal to 0, then we say that the body effect is present and it has its own negative consequences. So we told that if the presence of an arrow in the symbol is confusing, we told that a simplified way of representing NMOS and PMOS is, for NMOS, don't show a bubble at the gate terminal, and for a PMOS, you show a bubble at the gate terminal. And we told, just like in digital system, bubble indicates active low. So we justified that PMOS is an active low device because the PMOS becomes on when the gate terminal is connected to logic 0 or 0 volts, that is, it is grounded, and NMOS becomes on when the gate terminal is connected to logic 1 or VDD. That is why we say NMOS is active high device and PMOS is active low device. And we signified this, that if for NMOS, if gate equal to 1, it is on, gate equal to 0, it is off. The reverse is the case for PMOS. If the gate of PMOS connected to 1, being an active low device, the device is off, and for 0 it is on. Then we had a very important conceptual discussion that why FETs are called as FETs, and we went on to prove that it is called as a field effect transistor. It is called as a field effect transistor because the device current IDS is a resultant effect of two electric fields, that is lateral electric field and vertical electric field. And then we drew the 3D planar structure of an EMOS, that is N channel EMOS. So we drew a 3D planar structure of N channel EMOS, and we told that it basically has three geometries: the channel length L, which is the distance or the separation between drain and source terminal. We have the width of the device W, and we have the oxide thickness Tox, and we have the junction depth Xj. So any MOSFET has 4 dimensions to its geometry: channel length L, width W, oxide thickness Tox, and the junction depth Xj. And today we'll discuss that what is the significance of the relativity between Xj and L. And this relativity defines two kinds of MOSFETs, that is long channel MOSFETs and short channel MOSFETs. And we defined, based on this 3D planar structure of the MOSFET, that the lateral field ELAT is defined as the drain to source voltage upon the channel length, that is VDS upon L, while the vertical electric field EVER is defined as gate to source voltage upon Tox. So VDS upon L is lateral electric field within the device, and vertical electric field is VGS upon Tox. And the existence and the interaction between these two fields actually decides the amount of current which flows from the drain to the source terminal or from the source to drain, depending upon which kind of MOS you are actually discussing. So at the end, we defined 3 very important voltage inequalities for operating modes. We told also before that there are 3 potentials which are involved in MOSFET's operation: the drain to source voltage VDS, gate to source voltage VGS, and the threshold voltage V subscript small t, which actually represents the internal energy of the device. And the only current which is involved in the device operation is the current IDS. And we told that when VGS is less than VT, if VDS is greater than 0, the device is in cutoff region, conducts no current, acts as open switch, and IDS equal to 0. The second case is VGS minus VT greater than VDS greater than 0. The device operates in ohmic or linear region. In this case, it is called linear because the device current IDS is directly proportional to VDS, and the proportionality is represented as IDS equal to K into VDS. The third case is the reverse of the case number 2. Here VDS is greater than VGS minus VT is greater than 0. The device is said to be operating in pinch off region or saturation region. Usually I recommend students not to use the word saturation for a MOSFET because saturation region also exists in a BJT. Better is pinch off because pinch off effect is not present in BJT. That is why to differentiate between a MOSFET and BJT's operation, better to use the word pinch off. In this region, IDS is no longer a function of VDS, which was the case in case number 2, and it is constant. So in the pinch off region, the drain current IDS becomes constant, is no longer a function of VDS. That is why we said that in the pinch off region, MOSFET acts as a constant current source. It acts as a constant current source. Now we take our discussion ahead to actually learn the very basics of how one can draw MOSFET based circuits for different logical functionalities, starting from basic NOT gate to NAND gate to NOR gate, subsequently combining these 3 to make AND gate, OR gate, XOR gate, and XNOR gate. Got the point? So that is our agenda today. But we are going to develop or discuss certain general steps for actually drawing these circuits. So first and foremost is we want to actually justify what is the operating region of a MOSFET when the drain and gate terminals are short circuited. I am specifically taking this particular thing because devices with drain and gate shorted are very often seen in NMOS logic implementations and also PMOS logic implementations. And on the analog side of the CMOS world, we see that shorted drain gate devices are usually used in current mirror circuits if you have studied them in the yesteryears. Okay, so let us explain this concept by a question. Okay, so which region will a MOSFET operate if its drain and gate terminals are shorted. So consider N-channel CMOS device. Okay. Drain, gate, and source. Okay, body is there, but I'm assuming that body and source are short circuited. So now our case is that what is the operating region of any MOSFET if the drain and gate are shorted. So what I will do is that I will short circuit the drain and gate here. Okay, so drain and gate are short circuited. So somebody may say, sir, yes, the answer is saturation region, but then I can ask a question, can you justify mathematically that a MOSFET enters into saturation if drain and gate are shorted? So this is how you justify mathematically that it operates in saturation. So first I'll write the answer and then we'll justify. Okay, so theory says that a MOSFET with drain and gate shorted actually is in saturation region, because one such device we are going to use in the discussion today. Okay, so what I will do is that I will write down voltages at the node. So let the potential at the drain terminal be VD and let the potential at gate terminal be VG. Okay, so because they are short circuited, we can tell that VD is equal to VG. Let this be equation number 1. So drain voltage is equal to gate voltage. Now we also know this basic relationships, that is drain to source voltage is equal to drain voltage minus source voltage, equation 2, and we have the gate to source voltage VGS is equal to gate voltage minus source voltage, equation number 3. So now what do? We rearrange equation number 2 and 3 so that we have the term VD on LHS. Okay, so I can say from equations 2, 3, I can say VD is equal to VDS plus VS. Similarly, VG is equal to VGS plus VS. So let these be equation number 4 and 5. So now what I do is I will substitute equations 4 and 5 in equation number 1. Substituting 4, 5 in equation 1, we can say that VDS plus VS is equal to VGS plus VS. So VS and VS will get cancelled, and we can say that VDS is equal to VGS. Okay, so this is equation number 6. Now it's very simple that now VDS is equal to VGS. So if I subtract if I subtract anything from VGS, then VDS will become larger than that. Okay, so now if I reduce the term VGS by a value VT, threshold voltage, naturally there will be an inequality created. Okay, so if I subtract the threshold voltage from VGS, naturally VDS becomes greater than VGS minus VT. And if we remember, this is the voltage equality which actually justifies that MOSFET is in saturation. So you just see equation case number 3, VDS is greater than VGS minus VT is greater than 0, is actually the voltage equality for saturation region. That is why here we can actually say that equation number 7 justifies that MOSFET is in saturation. So since VDS is greater than VGS minus VT is greater than 0 is the condition for pinch off MOSFET with D, S shorted operates in pinch off. Okay, that is why here we can say mathematically justified. Okay. Now in your second year, maybe your your staff must have taught that, okay, fine, okay, so
Sir, it should be D and G, no?
yeah, thank you. Okay, so maybe in your second year your staff must have taught, okay, fine students, this is the circuit diagram for an NMOS NAND gate. And then if you change this to like this, and you apply A here, apply B here, then students, this is NMOS NOR gate, like that. But I think so the staff member knew the reason, but he felt that at second year you don't need to know that. Instead of drawing the circuits and then and then putting values of A and B in all four combinations 0011, and then doing some kind of a switch mode analysis, you find out, rather than that, the reverse, if we study, then actually it can help us how to actually generate circuit diagrams rather than drawing them, analyzing them, and then justifying that it is an AND gate, NAND gate, or a NOR gate. So basically in BE, I feel students should know that how to derive circuits rather than analyzing them. Okay, that is what we are going to do now. Okay, so we are going to frame some general rules today, and we will go on to learn how to actually derive NMOS NOR gate, NMOS NAND gate, NMOS inverter, so on and so forth. Okay, so general principles for implementing logic using MOSFETs. I'm not specifically saying PMOS or NMOS, but MOSFETs. Okay, so general principles for implementing logic using MOSFETs. So what I'm going to, please listen carefully and try to understand what I want to tell. Rule number 1. Okay, fine. So before doing that, we will simplify further the symbols which we are going to use. Okay, so we told that a 3-terminal device not having a bubble is NMOS, and a 3-terminal device having a bubble is a PMOS. We know that, right? But we can actually simplify it further. Okay, so as far as part B practicals are concerned, this particular representation of PMOS and NMOS is not recommended. Even if recommended, you should be very clear that which terminal represents drain and which terminal represents source. That is why. Okay, so what I will do, I will draw the simplified symbol and I will tell what is the equivalent. So we know that this particular symbol we drew for an NMOS. Okay, so this was drain, this was source, and this was gate. Okay, so an equivalent to this is this. Okay, rather than drawing the terminals, I can simply draw it like this. Just write N inside, and then naturally drain, source, and gate. Okay, so both of them are NMOS. Okay, similarly, I will draw the simplified symbol for a PMOS. Okay, but here what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the terminals. Okay, and I will tell why. So please remember one thing, whenever you are drawing a PMOS on paper, the upper terminal is regarded as source, the lower terminal as drain, and obviously the third one is the gate. Okay, and the simplified version of this would be same like NMOS, but only difference is I will be showing a bubble, writing P inside. Okay, and everything else remains the same. Especially when we are going to study the topic combinational logic design using CMOS logic family, at that time these block symbols we are going to use. Okay, fine. So now that is why I will write a rule here that so I told that drain and source regions have equal doping concentrations, in the sense they are interchangeable, but still what we do is that we always show source of PMOS up. So I will write down that the upper and lower terminals of PMOS and NMOS are source, drain and drain, source respectively. Okay, so whenever you draw a PMOS on paper, the upper terminal is source, lower is drain. Whenever you draw NMOS on paper, the upper terminal is drain, lower terminal is always source. Okay, always remember this thing. So with this we go ahead and define the rules. Okay, first rule is that PMOS device complements the input variable. Okay, we are not going to talk about signals now because we are speaking about digital systems. We know that we have Boolean variables. So I say PMOS device complements the input variable. Okay, that means if I have a PMOS device here, so I'll be drawing the symbol here. So if I have a PMOS device here, so naturally you always apply the input variable to the gate and other side you get the output, right? So if I apply X here, I get an X bar at the output. Okay. Similarly, if I apply X bar at the input, I get X at the output. This is a rule number 1. That is, a PMOS device complements the input and NMOS will do exactly the opposite. Okay. Rule number 2, NMOS device does not complement the input variable. Okay, that means if I have an NMOS device, if I apply X here, I will obtain an X at the output. Similarly, one other device, if I apply X bar, I will obtain an X bar at the output. Okay, so should be very clear about this thing. Okay, so PMOS complements the input, NMOS does not complement the input. Okay, so X, X bar, X bar, X. Apply X, get an X. Apply X bar, get an X bar. Okay. Rule number 3, that now what we are going to do basically is we are going to convert Boolean expressions into an interconnection between MOSFETs. Okay, that is why I'll write a note here that logic design using MOS logic involves converting the given Boolean expression into a circuit involving interconnection between multiple MOSFETs. Please understand this statement very carefully. Logic design using MOS logic involves logic design using MOS logic involves converting the given Boolean expression into a circuit involving interconnection between multiple MOSFETs. So now what is the meaning of interconnection? So interconnection means connecting the MOSFETs in series, parallel or series parallel. So there can be 3 kinds of interconnections between MOSFETs. It can be series, parallel and series parallel. So we have to learn that from a given bool. Now you know that any Boolean expression which is there, it has only two, it has three kinds of operations. It has not, and or. Okay. Okay. So now we write down that any Boolean expression contains three kinds of operations. Okay. So it is and. So you know that and is represented as dot, and we have or plus, and we have not represented as bar. Okay. So when there is an ANDing operation, so now we already told that you have to convert Boolean expression into interconnection between MOSFETs. And when you say interconnection, it means connecting MOSFETs in series, parallel, or series parallel. On what basis we are going to decide that MOSFETs have to be connected in series or in parallel or a combination of both? This is going to decide. So if between two variables there is an ANDing operation, it indicates series connection. Okay. So when I say ANDing, it means series. When there is ORing, it is parallel. And when it is knotting, it will actually tell me whether I have to use PMOS device or NMOS device according to rule number 1 or 2. Please make this very, very clear. Okay. So this will actually decide whether, okay, so if it is unbarred variable, I have to use NMOS. If it is a barred variable, I have to use PMOS. Why? Because my rule number 1 says that PMOS is the device which gives complementation. So I will write down rule number 2 and rule number 1. So unbarred variable will need NMOS. I am speaking based on rule number 2, and barred variable, it is according to rule number 1. So we have decided, now we have made 3 rules now. What the point? So which device will give a complemented output, which device will give an uncomplemented output, and on what basis we have to interconnect the MOSFETs. We have to interconnect the MOSFETs as series parallel or series parallel, depending upon whether my expression contains variables with a logical ANDing in between, then series connection, logical ORing in between, parallel connection, and if there are barred variables or unbarred variables according to rule number 1 and 2, we have to actually decide that. Fine. Yeah. So now NMOS logic. One more thing we have to understand here. Take for example, this is a digital system with some functionality. Okay. So this particular system has n inputs. A digital system has n number of inputs, and this system, it has m number of outputs. Okay, so we know that this n inputs, they can be either logic 1 or logic 0. Similarly, I know that my outputs can be either 1 or 0. So who can tell me that what actually makes this possible, that output of a digital system becomes 0 or 1? This is a very, very basic question. Okay, very, very basic question. What makes this possible that a digital system's output becomes 0 or 1? Yes. Or I can say, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by saying that the output is 1 or 0? Yes,
So it's connected to VDD or ground.
correct. That is what I meant to tell. Okay. So what do you mean by saying that output, okay, is equal to 1 or output equal to 0? Okay, so this is what we mean. So output equal to 1 means output node is connected to plus VDD, and better than I will say, when I say connected to VDD, another better way of telling is it is pulled up to VDD. Okay, it is pulled up to plus VDD. Similarly, I can say that output equal to 0 means my output node is connected to minus VSS or digital ground. Another better way of telling the same thing is it is pulled down to minus VSS. That is why we have these terms in digital called as pull up network and pull down network. Okay, now we know that digital system consists of only switches. Okay, so this black box will contain transistor switches, we know that. Okay, so this digital system, it contains transistor switches, and we know that this switches can either be a PMOS switch or it can be an NMOS switch. If we are speaking about MOS logic, then digital system implemented using MOS logic will contain either PMOS or NMOS or a combination of both. So basically, switches are the ones who connect and disconnect the output node to VDD or ground. Okay. Third point which we have to understand is that the above electrical connectivity, the above electrical connectivity to plus VDD or minus VSS is brought about by MOS switches. Okay, and we know that MOS switches are of two types, PMOS and NMOS. Okay. Now, again, I consider the same system where I have n inputs. I have n outputs, not n, I have m outputs, and I have MOSFET switches in between them. Okay, in between the n outputs, in between the n inputs and m outputs, I have MOSFET switches. Okay, now this helps us to define the logic families. Okay, so if I use only PMOS, then it becomes a PMOS logic family. If I use only NMOS, it becomes NMOS logic family. And if I use both PMOS and NMOS, it becomes a CMOS. This is what you know. If I use PMOS as well as NMOS to realize functionality, it becomes a CMOS logic family. And here we have 4 variations. There are 4 variants of CMOS logic family, which are as follows. We have complementary CMOS logic family. Then we have pseudo NMOS. We have dynamic logic, and we have transmission gate logic family. Purposefully I have written transmission gate with black because that is a part of our syllabus. Okay, so what are the differences between all 4 subfamilies under CMOS? So it's very simple. Complementary CMOS logic family, it uses equal number of PMOS and NMOS devices in pull-up, in pull-down sections respectively. Okay, pseudo NMOS is a mixture of pure NMOS and CMOS. So in pseudo NMOS, we have all NMOS devices plus one PMOS device. It's kind of hybrid kind of a thing. Okay, so PMOS logic contains only PMOS devices. NMOS logic family contains only NMOS, and pseudo NMOS, all devices are NMOS, but there is one PMOS device which is used for pull-up. Okay, so this one PMOS device which is used, it is actually used for the purpose of pull-up. It's called as a pull-up transistor. In dynamic logic, we have clocks. Okay, so there are clocks used for activating the MOS switches. And transmission gate is a very interesting family, which actually scores over CMOS logic family because it reduces the transistor count. So transmission gate, it uses transmission gates TG, and understand TG is nothing but it is PMOS parallel with NMOS. Okay, so if I connect PMOS and NMOS in parallel, it becomes a transmission gate. It's a very interesting logic family. You have an assignment in part B for this. Here, so this is the input side, output side, and this is the control signal of the gate C. You apply C bar here, and these are the terminals. Drain of PMOS connected to drain of NMOS. The source of PMOS connect source of NMOS, and there are the gates here. Okay, this is the transmission gate. Okay. Yeah. So NMOS NOT gate means it is a NOT gate implemented using NMOS logic. It's very simple. Here you'll understand why we discussed about short circuiting drain and gate. So just see how the circuit diagram goes about. Okay, as I told you that whenever you are drawing NMOS on paper, upper terminal is drain, lower terminal is gate. No, sorry, upper terminal is drain, lower terminal is source. That is why okay, and see what I'm doing now. Short circuit in drain and source, sorry, drain and gate. Okay, so we can actually name the transistors because it is NMOS, and the first NMOS N1 and N2. Okay, and here I am going to apply my input variable A. Okay, so analysis is very simple. Okay, N1 is in pinch off, so it is acting as on. Okay, so N1 is permanently on. Okay, we can say it is pinch off, it is on, acting as short circuit. Okay, fine. N2 is acting as a MOS switch. So it is on or off depending on value of A. So we know that an NMOS, if gate receives 1, it is on, gate receives 0, it is off. It's an active high device. Okay, and in the pinch off region, N1 will act as a resistor. Okay, it acts as a active resistor. So for A equal to logic 1, we can redraw the circuit. So when A is 1, so we can say case 1 A is equal to 1, so N1 is on and N2 also will be on, correct? So if I apply A equal to 1, gate equal to 1, NMOS is active high device, it will become on. So the equivalent circuit will become like this. I can replace N1 with a resistor, understand it's an active resistor, and here I have the output Y, and now my N2 which is on is actually replaced by a short circuit. Because there's a MOSFET device, I'll not show any electrical connection here. So this is my N1, this is my N2, and I will be just showing the gate like this. Okay, I will say A equal to 1. Naturally we see that the output Y will be equal to 0. Okay, because it will be pulled down. So we see that for A equal to 1, what we get is we get Y equal to 0. Case number 2. A equal to 0. So we have N1 equal to on because permanently on, and N2 equal to off. Okay, so the equivalent circuit is like this again, VDD, and here output Y, N1, N2, and this is my input A equal to 0. Naturally we see here that output will now be pulled up to VDD. So the conclusion is Y is equal to 1. So we conclude that a equal to 1, y equal to 0, a equal to 0, y equal to 1. Okay, so this is nothing but the functionality of a NOT gate. But there is a problem here. Okay, we had told, you see now in this case, is very, very important. In this case, y is connected to ground through NMOS. Therefore, y is equal to strong 1. This you must not have studied in your second year. Here, y is connected to plus VDD through NMOS. Therefore, y is not equal to 1, it is equal to weak 1. This is the problem with this logic family. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, in this case, y is getting connected to ground through NMOS. So y is strong 1 because NMOS gives a strong 1 and a weak 0. PMOS gives a strong, NMOS gives a
Strong 0, sir.
yeah, it's strong 0. Very sorry. Yeah, so we get a strong 0 here. Yeah, so NMOS gives a strong 0 and a weak 1. PMOS gives a strong 1 and weak 0. So in the case number 2, output is equal to 1, but because the output node y is being connected to VDD through an NMOS, and NMOS is not known for producing strong 1, so we get a weak 1 here. Okay, so we can say this is bad and this is good. Getting me? So I will just make a note here. PMOS, it gives strong 1, weak 0. NMOS gives zero. Okay, so this is desirable, this is desirable, this is not desirable, this is not desirable. Getting me? That is why when we implement digital systems using PMOS logic only, so the problem is we get only 50% of best values. We get strong 1, but we do not get a strong 0. If I use only NMOS devices, NMOS logic family, I get strong 0, but I do not get a strong 1. That is why we go for CMOS logic family, wherein we use both PMOS and NMOS. So when we use PMOS and NMOS together to realize any digital functionality, because there is PMOS, we get a strong 1. Because there is an NMOS, we get a strong 0. That is why CMOS logic family is commercialized. And because CMOS is the only logic family which gives both strong 1 and strong 0, that is why we never ever go for PMOS logic or NMOS logic. So very, very clear about these things. Okay.